Hi, Vanessa Webb, Stampin' Up Demonstrator Australia here. Today I'm wanting to share a few tips with the Blossoms in Bloom bundle. So that's the Blossoms in Bloom stamp set and the many layered Blossoms dies. When you get the dies, you'll see that there is a set of dies that one cuts out a fairly thin image and the other one cuts out a thicker image, and these layer together and they match so that you can either use one or both on the card, and you can use different materials, different colours. Today what we're doing is using the Magenta Madness, and we're cutting out the thicker image, the thicker die image in vellum, so you can see the light and shade effect that creates together with the stamping. So the dies are designed to go together, but they're also designed to go with the stamps that come in the stamp set. So I wanted to give you a few tips when you use the dies and how to get this look in particular, but you can mix and match it, use other colours, use other materials, cut some designer series paper, for example, but there is a process that actually makes it easier to put the two layers together and onto your card, and also get the most out of your die. I've always liked the offset look to a card, so I don't like to have anything sort of right in the middle of a card, so that's why this technique appeals to me. And when I was cutting out these, I realised that you don't actually need to use the whole piece on the card, and in fact generally you will be having to cut off little sections anyway, so it's good if you can pick and choose which sections to cut off, and also not waste those offcuts. So I've used them elsewhere on my card, and I've really offset it quite a lot so that you'll get a fair amount of offcuts when you're creating your card. So what I'm doing is, first of all, I'm going to stamp on the card, and I want to make sure that I'm stamping correctly so that I get, first of all, the right angle, but also I want to replicate the card that I've already done because I was really happy with that layout. So I'm going to get my Magenta Madness ink pad and this lovely big bold stamp. And I'm going to just make sure that so you can see if you line it up like that over the top of your pre-cut dies, which I've already cut obviously, you can see how the stamp lines up. So it's just a matter of twisting it around until you find the right angle. So that's about right. So I'm just going to remove this and I'm going to put this over to the side here. Won't twist it anymore. And I'm going to ink it up. Now just remember which way around you had it and which way around you want to stamp it. So I'm going to ink it up with the magenta, and we won't actually have all of the image on the white. I'm just getting this little bit of fluff off. And this is a lovely stamp. It's actually what we call it's got a lot of detail in it, so you'll find it's got light and shade already, but putting the die cuts over the top just increases that lovely texture. So I'm just going to plonk that down there and press down hard so that the ink transfers. This is such a gorgeous colour, this Magenta Madness. And then I'll just lift it up, and there you've got the beautiful, see the light and shade there? The light and shade really comes out. And you've got other stamps in the set. If you wanted to go in and stamp the middle of the flowers, you could use that one. You could stamp another couple of flowers and some leaves. We're going to leave that because the die is going to do the rest of the work for us. So here are my die pieces. The first thing I want to do is stick those two together because they're going to be layered together. I want to stick them together before I pop them on the card, and you'll need to use a very small, very small amount of glue to do this. So I'm just going to dot the glue around, And don't feel that you have to stick every single bit of this die down. In fact, the less glue you use, the better. And the more sparing you are with it when you're applying it, the better. Because that means it will take less time to dry. So you just want it to be tacky. Now there is a product in the new catalogue, the adhesive sheets that you can use with the new die cutting and embossing machine. I'm waiting for my new die cutting and embossing machine before I get any of those accessories. I'm not sure if you can get the the adhesive sheets yet, but when we do have the adhesive sheets, it will make a process like this even easier. But you just see how a few dots of glue are going to hold this on. I'm going to put that to dry over there for a second, and I'll bring my original card in. I don't know if you can see, there is quite a bit of texture happening on there, especially in the white spaces. You can probably see I have used an embossing folder over the top. So this is another reason why you don't need to use that much adhesive, because everything is going to be pressed down once again when we run it through the big shot. You can see now that that's dry a little bit, where it's going to end up on the card. So I want to match up the pattern, but you'll also see how there are some bits that are going to hang off the edge. And they are the extra bits that we're going to use here and also here. So you're not wasting any of that die cut. So again, just a little tiny bit of glue. When we're working with vellum, you don't want to use too much glue. So less is more. And remember, we're running it through the big shot a little bit later so that everything will get pressed down, and it actually keeps things nice and flat as well. Alright, so let me just pop that on. You can see, oops, and I've got some little dots there. I'm going to put something over the top of that. Inky fingers today. Magenta Madness is one of those colours that gets everywhere on everything. And if you're wearing white, chances are you are going to get it all over you. So yeah, so we can put some embellishments there, right? That's what they're for. Now, once that's dried off a little bit, you're going to cut these extra bits off because you don't want them hanging off the side of your card. So I'm going to try and keep these as one, so especially this bit here. I'm going to just get a fairly large piece, or the largest piece that you can, and just get rid of these little extra bits. So there's one bit there, and then I'm going to come around and cut off these two leaves at the tips, but then come down and cut along there. So you want it flush with the side, the edge of the card that you're putting onto your base card. And then it's a matter of working out which way around you want to put them. So you can fill in the gaps any way you like. I sort of like to put obviously the flat edge will be going on the flat edge, that flat part, and then this one might come around here so that you've got a little bit of a gap in this section that you're going to adhere your greeting to. So you'll find that, you know, you'll end up naturally, there'll be a gap somewhere where you're not covering over too much of the beautiful die cut patterns that you've worked so hard to create. So I'm going to stick these down as well. I'm almost covering over those little ink splodges. There you go. I actually don't edit any of my videos, so you will see how I cover over my mistakes when I make them as well. I think that's all part of the fun, isn't it? You never really know how a card's going to turn out until it's done. And there's always embellishments for those occasions where you need to hide something. So I'm just making sure that's nice and flush. Oops, I've got even more ink up there. Okay, I'll put an embellishment up there as well. Alrighty, this is my sample card anyway. So once that is dry, you will be able to put it through the big shot. And the embossing folder that I am using is the Subtle, I think it's called Subtle embossing folder. And it creates, subtle 3D embossing folder it's called, and it creates a really nice patina or pattern on your cardstock. It's not too pronounced, hence the name, and it is really, really good for this technique because, you're not overlaying a pattern with too much of another pattern, but it acts to press everything down and make everything nice and flat, but it also puts a nice patina on the cardstock, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to pop this in here, and because it's a 3D folder at the moment, we're using our 3D plate. We'll have new plates with our new die cutting and embossing machine, and I'm just going to run that through over. Oops, make sure my embossing folder's straight. There we go. And out the other side, it really does act to press everything down and give it a fantastic texture. Just have to make sure it's not sticking. So can you see the difference? I'll just hold it up there, you'll see. I think you've got some embossing there, and it really picks up on those beautiful die cut pieces. So and that it offsets the vellum and the stamping as well. So you've got lots happening on there, and that makes a beautiful background. It's kind of very vintage looking actually. It looks great with all the other colours too. Let me bring in the others. So I've got this one here in one of the other in colours, Moonlight Madness and Bumblebee and Cinnamon Scroll. And I think I gave away my other one. So I've got 4 of the end colours, but I just switched out the greetings and used a couple of different stamp sets. And this one's done portrait orientation. So again, just find the gap and pop the greeting where it suits. Now the greeting is actually heat embossed. Whenever I'm stamping on basic black, I use my embossing buddy. So the anti-static pad is now no longer available with Stampin' Up, but you can get them in craft stores. I think it's a must if you're embossing onto basic black cardstock with Whisper White. I would not be without it. So I'm using a different stamp set called Lovely You. I love the greetings in this one, and you've got lots to choose from. And I'm using the one that says miles apart, but still in my heart, because there's lots of people that we haven't been able to see lately due to the craziness of what's happening in the world, and there are lots of people that I have been sending cards to as a result. So it's not all bad. We have been able to reach out and still let people know that we care. So that's just done, that's stamped in the Versamark, and I'm going to bring my card in as a little tray and use the white embossing powder. I won't actually heat that for you because I don't think my heat gun's plugged in, but you can see the difference the embossing buddy makes. It really does make a clean effect with your embossing. You don't have to worry about stray bits of powder. I'll heat that up later, and then I just pour my powder back in like that. Alrighty, so to pop it on the card, I'll use just use some of the Stampin' Seal. The new Stampin' Seal, little tip, so you don't use your lid, I actually pop it back in the packet. The packet's designed for you to keep your Stampin' Seal in there to protect it while you're travelling with your craft belongings. And you can pop the lid back on before you stick it back into the packet. But obviously you need to remove it to use it, and you can keep the lid in the packet itself. And you just want to run along here. And even though I've embossed this piece, you can see how easily that just glides on. And you don't have to do the little tick that you used to do. This is just a Stampin' Seal. There is a Stampin' Seal Plus, which is a little bit stronger, but I find this is great for everyday crafting, and it sticks down brilliantly. So let me just bring in my base card, and I'll pop that there. And that's really looking nice. I just love that effect. So you can see the difference between this one. It's a lot flatter. Everything's sitting nice. This is pre-embossed, and you can see things are kind of still sticking up a little bit. And yeah, even though it's stuck down, it's just a little bit messy, and it catches on things. So the running it through the your die cutting machine, your embossing machine, with the Subtles folder really does make a huge difference. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it's given you some tips and ideas to use with your Blossoms in Bloom bundle. Here are all the cards that I've created again, so that you can have a look at them all together. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to email me. You can jump on my store and have a look at all these beautiful products. There is lots of new stamp sets and accessories that you can be playing with the new catalogue. And we're just about to get a holiday mini catalogue that's out for demonstrators now, but for customers it will be arriving very soon. So keep watch out for that. And thanks for watching today. Bye.